Hey guys, I'm Annette from Aussie Reborn Supplies, and today I'm going to show you the new Breathe For Me Reborn Baby Breather Box. I'm going to show you what it looks like, how to assemble it, how it works, and how to put it into your baby so your baby can look just like Noah here and be breathing softly, which is just amazing to watch. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so let's get to talking about the Breathe For Me Reborn Baby Box. Here it is here. So it's not actually much to look at, but I guess, you know, what can you expect? Anyway, it's going inside. It's not to look pretty, if you know what I mean. So this is the part that goes up and down, which makes the baby look like it's breathing. This is the little motor box, and this is the connection for the battery. So what we need are 3 AA batteries. And of course, we need a screwdriver to be able to get the screw off the back of the battery pack. So now we're ready to pull it apart. So we'll do this first. We'll unscrew the little screw on the back of the battery pack. So the screw is now out, and we can just pop out off the back just simply like that. Now, when you're putting batteries in, please use really high quality batteries. I mean, yes, we can go and get a bunch of cheap batteries from, you know, your local cheapie shop, but it's not going to be as good and powerful. I mean, it'll still work. It'll probably work for a very short amount of time, but I must say, go for the strong batteries. I'm using Energizer Max Plus here. Go for the strong batteries, and then you know that it's going to have a lot of oomph in it to really push that breather up and down, and that's what we're going for. I have been using these in the breather box that I've used with Noah already for a little bit, so mine are getting a bit weak. I probably should have bought new strength ones, but they are still working perfectly, so that's what we're going with today. So just put your batteries in like you do any other apparatus you have at home. And do a quick check to hear that it's working. And it is. So the sound from the motor inside is like a turning, so you will hear a winding sound. That's the way it's going to happen regardless. The one thing about this breather box, which I have had people mention to me, is it doesn't make a breathing sound. But if you really want to get realistic like that, my suggestion is to either maybe there's an app out there that does the breathing sounds, or you could go on YouTube, and I'm sure that there will be videos on there of babies breathing and things like that. Yes, it's a good idea. So next I'm just going to screw that little screw back up just to secure those batteries in. Okay, so now that that's all done, we're going to actually put the breather together. Now it's not that hard. It's literally just putting this into this little groove you've got here, just a little groove up the top. Now my suggestion, I know everyone has good and bad eyes, but just have a look in there against the light, like sun behind it or light behind it, and you will see that in the bottom on the outer edge is a little groove that comes out. And if you look in the bottom of your little breather stick, right down there, you'll see that there's a little groove to match. So they have to be put in the same position, and you push it in until you hear the click. And so what that is, it's going to keep that in place, so it's not going to fall out if you're carrying your baby or anything. It's now locked into place, which is really cool. Okay, and just to test it so you can see that it's working, let's bring it nicer up to me so you can see it here. We're going to switch it on, and you will see it go up and down. That's as simple as it is. So inside there is a motor turning, which is pushing that little mushroom up and down. So let's get to putting it in the baby, hey? Now I'm going to show at this stage, I'm going to show everyone how to pull your baby apart if you want to put the Breathe For Me unit in. I know that some people just, you know, have a reborn baby and don't know the ins and outs of pulling apart and putting together your baby. So this is just to help you. But if you know what you're doing, you can skip a little bit ahead and that will just show you me putting the box in. So Noah has already got a Breathe For Me box in him. That's what I was already doing some testing purposes with. I'm just going to take it off again, take it out again now. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a pair of really good quality scissors. This is if you're pulling apart your baby for the first time. And at the back is just a little cable tie. Some of you guys have a little string in there. Regardless, either or, you're going to have to cut that. So you just get your scissors and go underneath the back of the cable tie, being careful that you're not going to scratch your baby's beautiful painted skin. So just go underneath and just cut with your scissors. These are nice and sharp, so it'll be one quick snip and Noah's head is now off. Okay, so when you open your baby for the first time, you basically should see your head will obviously come off and you'll see your baby's filled with stuffing, polyfill and weight. So you're going to have to get some of that out to put the breather box in. This was what Noah had in him before. He has angel silk in him and he had some premium glass beads up in his upper chest area. So I've taken out the ball that we have of premium glass bead in the upper chest area, and I've taken out the angel silk. This angel silk is beautiful, but you generally need a bit to make a body. So I'm just going to take off that old cable tie that's now going to be bin worthy. I'm going to take some of the beautiful angel silk out and take out the Reborn breather that I already put in there. Now I have to say, when it comes to me having played with Noah already with the breather in, it's not really an item that you can put in there and it's going to absolutely feel perfect. You've got to think this is a nice hunk of plastic in there and you're going to feel it. So if you're wanting an experience of just viewing, it's perfect. If you're wanting an experience where you're cuddling your baby every day and you're having the breather, then there may be times when you need to make some adjustments, which is okay, but it will move about a little bit. And I say that because, as you can imagine, what I'm going to do now is we put some polyfill, or I put angel silk towards the back, then we put the breather box in, and then you're going to sort of stuff around this midsection with some angel silk. Now, if you stuff it too hard, then this up and down motion is restricted and it won't move up and down as nicely as you might like. And then you might switch it on and you're like, well, I can't really see it moving very much. And that's because it's laboring, it's having a hard time moving up and down. So we don't want to clog it up too much, but that's just in my experience. I do, I always advise any of my customers to play around with it and see what you can get out of it. Another great option is to get some wadding. You just get that from your local, Spotlight, Lincraft, places like that, and put the wadding in behind the breather box. I'm not going to do this with Noah at this stage. I'm happy with how the angel silk has been, so I'm just going to go with that. So before I put the breather box back in, I'm going to give Noah a new cable tie, put that in place so I don't have to move it around very much later. Now, if you're putting a cable tie in for the first time, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky and it gets hooked and stuck in there. If that's the case, turn it around and go in from the other end and you'll find it will be easier and it will flow through a lot easier. But But yeah, just sort of wiggle it around a bit. It will go in, don't worry. But sometimes it can be stressful for people and they think, oh my God, how does this work? So I'll just lock and load that cable tie, ready to go. Okay, so I've already got some polyfill just in the back of Noah's, in his back right there. So in the lower part of his body, he's got the angel silk, and then he's also got another pliable ball of the premium glass bead. So that's in the bottom section, but this chest section is what I'm trying to leave nice and open at the moment. So I know you can't really see in there very well, but the back is covered with the angel silk, and the sides, sort of this area here. So which one did I put the new batteries in? This one here. So you've got to think at that stage where you would like your breathing apparatus to be. I've suggested sort of mid, like belly, because then if you know, all babies have that, they belly breathe. They're not like us and forgotten how to belly breathe and chest breathe like us, but they breathe low down in their belly. So that's what I like to do, put it down there. If you want to put it up higher in the chest, completely up to you. So being that said, I'm going to put it in that angle. So this is in the middle, so straight in there like that. Now you might also be thinking, gee, this is quite tall. But if you think about it in the point of how high the baby is compared to the apparatus, it does work. If you're putting it into a small baby, say like a preemie 15 to 17 inch, there's a lot less room in there to work with, but it could still work, especially if you're just using it for display purposes. If you're using it as a display and you know, a baby that you love to cuddle, then it might be a little bit more difficult. So I'm just going to pop that in there now. So once it's in there, obviously we don't want it looking like, you know, it's got an alien about to protrude out of its belly. So we need to sort of work around in there and sort of wiggle it into place. This can take a little bit of, so to speak, fluffing around, but that was pathetically not funny. But now we're just going to put back, I'm going to put back in the angel silk on top of it. But like I said before, I don't want to restrict it too much. I'm trying to leave the area around this, around the base, the shaft of the mushroom. I'm trying to leave it not really highly packed with polyfill. So I'm thinking that's pretty good at the moment. As you know, if you've just looked, found out how to pull your baby apart, or obviously you know how to do it, we can do this over and over again. So don't push yourself if it's no good. I'm going to just move it around a bit. Now we can test this before we lock and load it. So don't be too afraid to give it a try. So I'm just going to give it an actual test. So that's actually working really well. Please remember that, of course, when I pick Noah up, there's going to be movement. So you're definitely going to have to, move it around a little bit to make it really sit nicely, probably on every occasion you want to view it. So now what I need to do is just work around the neck area. I find that his belly is good. That's working really well. So I'll just put some more polyfill back in his neck area. Okay, now I think that's probably pretty good, but like I said, I can take it apart later and play with it a bit more if I want. One of the great things about these Reborn Baby boxes, as you'll see, is there is a clip between the battery and the actual Breathe For Me box. Sorry, Noah. So I can pull that apart and it just clips apart like that. So if I don't want the Breathe For Me box working that day, or I don't want it attached and hanging there, I can unclip it by doing this. What I'm going to do is simply at the back of Noah, as you can see where the back of him is, I'm going to leave that cord hanging over the back of his neck. So the unplug me part is at the back of his neck, and I can unplug and replug at any time and replace the batteries really easily. I love it. It's so awesome. Now, of course, you can get a Reborn Baby body made that has a pocket in it for the battery pack, or even a pocket for the back for the battery pack. But my friend Kerry came up with an amazing idea. So as you guys know, I make these Armani squares named after my grandson Armani. So they're really, really cute, right? And normally I would attach them to your pacifier, and it just looks super cute with your baby. It's got the passy in its mouth, and then they hold on to that with their little hands, and it looks really cute. Well, Kerry came up with the idea that we could actually bring that cord around the side of your baby's neck, and I can make an opening in the Armani square, so you could put the battery pack. So when the baby is snuggling with its Armani square on the front, you can actually see, but inside is the battery pack. So kudos to you, Kerry. Absolute fantastic idea. I haven't actually made one with an opening yet, but I definitely will be. And if anyone wants one, just simply send me a message on Aussie Reborn Supplies, and for a few dollars more, I can make you one and send it along with your Breathe For Me box. So it's really cool. So let's get to actually putting the baby's head back on so you can see how it actually looks. Okay, so now it's time to get the head back on. What I'm going to actually do is unclip the battery box. I'm going to see if I can, which I think I can. I'm going to actually maneuver the little clip to go underneath the cable tie there. Now, you may in some instances need to give that area a little clip, but I should be able to squeeze it out between the two. And this is just so I don't have to, yep, I've done it. This is going to be just so I don't have to have that wire actually under the cable tie. Now, it did work. I had it on Noah before, where the wire was going out over the top of the body and the cable tie was squeezing it there. But this way, I can have it just coming out under there, and it looks pretty good. Another thing about this little clip coming out the back, it can actually look like a medical device, so it can actually be quite cute. Okay, so just before I lock and load with the head, I'm going to clip that back in. And just make sure it's still working. Okay, it's still working fine, so that's great. So now we're going to get the head back on. I don't want it being overrun with polyfill or angel silk, but this stuff is really nice, and it's so fine that it really compacts down. So I have to put that extra bit in, otherwise I'm going to be moving it all the time. Again, I'm going to act like I've pulled the head a bit tighter and switch it on. It looks great. Okay, so Noah, let's get your head back in place. So for just putting the head back in place, you just literally put, I'm going to sit Noah up for a minute. Put the neck just in the front of the body there. Pull it a little bit tighter. Make sure all the polyfill or angel silk is staying tucked in. I don't want it to sit too far to the front of the body, so I'm now going to put it to the back and pull that cable tie a bit tighter, because otherwise you get that really high chesty look. So before I pull it tight again, I'm going to test it again. Still great. Okay, go that down. Thank you, Noah. And pulling that tight. Obviously, Noah has a neck ring, so he should still move his neck nice and easily. Very important to have that. Okay, so I'm going to cut the cable tie. Let's use this to cut the cable tie. Just move your head a little bit higher. Obviously, always being careful with those wires that are coming out the back. Snip, and there we're away. So you can see from there, I'll bring it in nice and close. So you can see that the wires are now coming out from underneath the cable tie. They're not being squeezed or restricted from the cable tie at all. And now we can unclip that if we just want to take Noah out without his Breathe For Me box, or plug it back in for easy use. And like I said, if we made that a Marnie square with the Breathe For Me box in, we can bring that wire around underneath his clothes, and you'll be able to pop it into the box and no one would actually see it. So you could take him out with you, which would be really cool. So we'll do a few little practices of that now. Let's get Noah dressed so we can have a look again. Okay, so Noah is all dressed and ready to switch on, and let's see how it actually looks. So he's now breathing and it looks so sweet. And I said on my live stream, there's so many benefits of having a Breathe For Me Reborn Baby box. Number one, it's actually mesmerizing just sitting, watching that chest inflate and deflate. It's really, really nice. And then if you wanted to put your hand on it, it feels so relaxing just feeling that breathing motion up and down. Now, like I said before, there is that downside where you hear that winding sound, but you sort of get used to it and you don't notice it as much. But there is alternatives. You can have an app that has a breathing sound or something similar in the background. I know there's a lady in Australia that has made a Babysit Me app or something. I haven't actually looked at it, I'm sorry, but I'm sure it might have some sounds on there that would go really well with the breathing box. There's other things too that we have here that you could use with the breathing box. We've got the heartbeat. Now the heart and having the heart and breather box together would be pretty tricky, but it can be made to work if you really wanted, using the right, I would say, pockets and everything in the right area. I hope you have enjoyed watching the Breathe For Me box today. I really, really love it. So at this stage, I don't know how much it will be in, say, 2030, but at this stage in January 2020, it's $39.95. That's free postage here in Australia. If you're international, of course, it will cost extra for shipping or tracking, things like that. But they are now on my website, so you can have a look in the description below. You'll see the link to the actual sale of the Breathe For Me box, and there might be a link that pops up somewhere on the screen here which actually can take you there as well. So thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey for the Breathe For Me box. I think it's going to be a big part of so many of our lives. It's just incredible. I'll show you now actually what it's like to pick up Noah. So I haven't put his little battery pack anywhere as of yet, but if he was wrapped in a blanket, you know, the blanket at the back would help secure that. So I'm going to pick him up while he's breathing. So first I'm going to hold him. That is really nice. I can hear a small amount of laboring in that motion of the breathing up and down. So you don't want to hear that too much, otherwise you might in fact break your breather box. But him sitting on me right there, I'm not sure if you can actually see my hand rising and lowering. It actually feels really, really, really nice. And like I said, if you can imagine, if he's wrapped in a blanket, actually it's in a beautiful position at the moment. I might have put just enough polyfill in it to actually keep it moving. I don't know how well you can see it, but I can definitely see it and I can feel it. Little Noah, you're coming to life. I'm a real boy now. It's actually working really well holding it. So it might be something that we can take out to our reborn meets with us if we like. And you can literally have your phone going, you know, behind you with the app of a breathing sound or something. Who knows? But we can play with it. We're all new to this, and let's see how we go. Thank you so much, Noah, for showing us your breathing.